Just imagine the people back in the day when they would have to travel certain distances for months or even years. What is one thing that they would carry with them? The Quran. Why? Because they did not have it on their mobile devices or their gadgets. Brothers and sisters, imagine you have a app, the Qurani app, which not only shows you how much rewards you get, but reminds you to read the Quran, gives you reminders. Download the Qurani app now and let it testify for you on Yawm al-Qiyamah that you read it wherever you was. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters and dear friends. Today we're going to be reacting to an ex-Hamas supporter. Was he an ex-Hamas supporter or an ex-Hummus supporter?
The brother asked a very good question.
We're going to find out, inshallah. This individual, I'm very familiar with him because he was one of these individuals about 5-10 years ago when this whole ex-Muslim thing was popping off, etc. And now it's all died down and they are finished. They can't make any more videos. One thing that caught my attention when he used to talk, he would talk about key things. He was an ex-Salafi. He's now a non-practicing homosexual.
It's not halal, fam.
Because they asked him, did you ever kiss a guy? He said, no, I haven't done that yet. I'm just homosexual. But his story was, in a nutshell, just your typical ex-Muslim story of this happened, that happened, you know, I'm gay, and then I got some doubts and I left. No problem. But for some odd reason, GB News invites him as this ex-Hamas supporter who has some intelligence that he wants to share with the world.
I think with people like this, you know what they do, bro? They just use them.
Yes.
They're just there as...
like a hummus.
Silky, creamy hummus.
Sorry, like Hamas. Don't laugh at him, he's a serious guy.
So they got issue with Salafis. Oh, yeah. He used to be an ex-Salafi. They got an issue with Muslims with regards to homosexuality. Yes. Oh, he's a homosexual as well.
Yes.
Now they got an issue with Hamas.
Silky, creamy hummus.
He seems to be ready for everything, mate. Yeah, I used to be that as well, mate. Me, I used to do that back in the days as well, mate.
He identifies as...
everything.
Yes, but for now it's Hamas.
Everything that these guys need.
Let's see, with the narrative that's always been turning against Israel, let's see what GB News has for us, because they must have done some background research and invited an academic who's at Oxford. I think he studies at Oxford. Let's see what this ex-Hamas member, supporter has to say.
Yeah, definitely.
Yourself. Great to have you in the studio, Sahil. Thank you for joining us. How did you get sucked into being a Hamas supporter?
See, it started at a very young age. I was radicalized from the age 6 onwards, which some people might find surprising. You don't think of people being radicalized at such a young age, but I was. And I was raised with this hate-filled ideology whereby I believed Britain was the enemy. I believed that non-Muslims are in a perpetual war against Muslims. It's just the standard extremist Islamist kind of ideology that I was just raised in.
If I saw him on the road,
I would say he's a supporter of food.
Yes, I would think he sells hummus.
Silky, creamy hummus.
He looks like a genuine falafel hummus seller on the street. Like, you know, in those little caravans. And you know what's very interesting? I watched his videos before and now. Not a single place he ever mentions he was a Hamas supporter. Ever. But for some odd reason, GB News invites him and he is an ex-Hamas supporter.
The problem with GB News is that why are they... This is clearly a political issue.
Yes.
Yeah. Why are they bringing on somebody to say, oh, I'm an ex-Muslim and I used to do... Bro, how is that relevant to the conversation?
Exactly.
You know what? That's actually Islamophobic. That's what that is. Because the issue is to do with settler colonialism. It's got nothing to do with the fact that Bob over here used to be a Salafi.
You're not Salafi and you're not Salafi. I'm the Salafi.
Let's see what he has to say. He must have some very key intelligence.
Well, if they brought this guy on, then I mean, he clearly doesn't meet the visual image. So
don't judge a book by its cover. He must have some deep intelligence.
Yeah, I'm assuming.
I didn't know
and it says the big story on there as well.
Exactly.
So,
I didn't think Hamas has a wing in the UK. I've been a Muslim for 10 years. I've been in private circles, classes, Muslim families, you name it.
Wow, you're so pious.
I am. I have never, ever come across anybody, for that matter, talking about, oh, we hate the West. Oh, yes, of course we hate the actions they did in Iraq and Afghanistan or whatever bit, and anyone that's human would hate that.
Yeah.
Nobody has ever told me or radicalized me to think that Britain is my enemy and I have to hate them. At the age of 6, Muslim kids are memorized the Quran. They're not told and be like, hey, sit down here, listen, you hate the West and we hate the Jews and we hate everyone.
What? No, we don't.
Exactly, that's my point.
No, but you just said we hate the West.
No, that's what you're telling your kid. That's not the case.
Was it family members or friends or people you didn't know that were grooming you in this way?
It was my parents, in fact. Right. They had themselves become extreme.
What did this group get you to do? I mean, did you actively participate in any way? Did you attend meetings?
What?
What was your sort of role within this grouping?
Absolutely, I wasn't involved in any sort of group per se. I was always kind of on my own.
Are you lonely? Our fingers dancing where they meet.
Okay, what ideology? He goes, I was not per se involved in any group. I was a lone.
He's not in a group.
Yeah.
He's a loner.
Yes.
And I mean, what credibility? To be honest, like, what's the point of bringing some loner
Yes.
that lives in his mum's basement,
Yes.
eating
Hummus. Do you think he got Hamas confused with hummus? I genuinely believe this.
this? You know what? The more I'm listening to this guy, the more I'm actually swinging to your side. Before I was like, why does he keep talking about?
Because he can't talk. He's asking what's the ideology. Okay, what is this ideology?
Yeah.
He's conflating Islam
with a
Silky, creamy hummus.
What was the trigger that inspired you to walk away from this ideology?
It was a number of things, but chief among them, it was my understanding evolutionary biology. Might sound strange.
So science saved you.
Science did indeed save me. But I realized that contradicted my entire ideology. And I was forced then to change. My entire world just unraveled.
Because you learnt about the origins of humanity
Yes.
via nature, and this contradicted the theology
Exactly.
preached by likes of Hamas.
what contradicted his whole theology and made him question why he supported Hamas was him studying the theory of evolution.
Yeah, and because Hamas talks about evolution.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, this goes against my belief system.
Because they put that in their charter, innit? Like, that's something that's very integral to their political efforts.
Yes, evolution.
Yeah, what Charles Darwin said, and the Homo erectus.
Exactly, and that really contradicted his belief in Hamas.
Why are you laughing?
No, because it's true. Yeah,
Homo erectus is a thing.
Yes, it definitely is.
Why are you getting excited?
He looks like Homo erectus.
You'd probably get excited by that,
He
innit?
looks like that. The point is, what's Hamas got to do with evolution and him not supporting them anymore? Please make sense.
No, it's because of Homo
Let's carry on.
erectus.
Let's carry on. I mean, that's what it is. But it gets more interesting and sinister when he has an occurrence when he's walking down the road and he sees a young Jewish kid.
Wow.
And
Okay,
look
that's
what
going to be deep.
And look what transpires.
Be ready, because
It's a deep story.
Yo.
This changed his whole life.
I went to a Jewish home. I was selling a computer to them. And the little toddler, they had a little kid, came up to me and suddenly just became attached to me. And the parent said, he wants to play with you. So I was really young. I sat down and started playing with his toy cars. And his parents were looking on what was happening and smiling. And I remember looking across at them and thinking, I hate them, but they don't hate me. In fact, they're trusting me with their child. And that changed a lot for me.
Just imagine this for a second, yeah? I don't know what kind of Islam or idea that he was living by.
No, so this lonely guy is
Yes.
playing with the stranger's child.
Yeah.
And it's not, either you're lonely or you play with, random kids. Like, you need to make your mind up.
No, it doesn't make sense, bro. Just imagine he goes into this house or whatever. He's playing with the child. He's playing cards with the kid here for some odd reason. Can you imagine going?
No, he's a kid. He plays cars, isn't it?
Bro, whatever for that matter. Look at the story. He goes to this house he's selling them.
Did he
stuff
say
or
house,
whatever.
though?
Yeah, to the house or he's walking past, and he ends up playing with the kid. And then he's like, I hate
No, not
them.
with the kid. Like, he's playing with the cars.
Playing with the cars, yeah, with the child, yeah. And he goes, I hate them and they don't hate me. Bro, there was a Jewish man who got attacked in Stamford Hill. I went and done a video. Not once have
attacking
I ever...
him?
The brother asked a very good question.
No, defending him against the attacker.
Hope that answers the question.
Not once did I ever thought to myself, I have Jewish people who I speak to. I have Jewish, like, there's certain individuals who come to the park. We speak to. I've been to Stamford Hill.
Yeah.
I've been into their synagogue. Yeah. Not once have I ever been taught through Islam or anything for that matter that I have to hate Jews. So to me, this story is absolutely bull crap, bro. Like, you went there like, oh, I hate them, but they don't hate me. That's not the Islam that's been taught to anybody for that matter. There is nothing in Islam, nowhere in Islam, that tells us to hate the Jews. None, zero. The Prophet's wife was ethnically Jewish. So for us to hate Jewish people, it's as good as hating my own mother. So the matter at hand, you can see how it's distorted and how perverted he is, that he's making up this story that have nothing to do with religion.
Of course, critics of Israel would argue that Israel has a case to answer for its treatment of the Palestinian people. What would you say to that?
I would say that before other people got involved internationally, I would kind of caution against that because...
What?
Often this conflict is viewed in black and white terms, and a lot of people kind of lose their minds over it. They have a caricature idea of it, of good guy versus bad guy.
And it's very tribal.
Hold up. Time out.
Exactly, it's very tribalistic. And the conflict is very complicated. It's got multiple...
We want to end on this guy this year. This is so fundamental, yeah? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the psychology of the mushrikeen, of the munafiq, of the kafir, of the murtad. Very interesting, bro. If you go to the ayah when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about those who turn their back against the religion, Allah will replace them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says something very specific. He says, and they do not care about the blame of the blamers. Meaning what? This guy is such an Uncle Tom to the level where he's like, yeah, I'm pro-Britain, pro-this. He does not even mention the killing and the massacre and the genocide of the Palestinian kids. So much so that the GB News presenter, who is also probably pro-Israeli, has to interject just so he can be fair and say, you know what, but what about Israel and, you know, their treatment of the Palestinians? And what does he say? Nothing, no condemnation. Bro, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke the haqq. These individuals hate the blame. He's sucking up to the white man so badly. He's not even uttering it, so much so that his master, the white man sitting opposite him, which he wants to lick his toes, is there mentioning Israel and his treatment of Palestinians. Can you imagine? At least the disbeliever opposite him has more of a unbiased, some little form of unbiasedness. And what does he say? No mention, no condemnation.
He's just saying both sides, the same waffly arguments that don't really make sense. In fact, he doesn't even answer the point. The fact that you can't even condemn just because of your overlords are going to, you know, take away that pay packet. You're not going to be invited again, and you're going to be more irrelevant than you actually are.
Yes.
And
you're a mushroom head. You're like a mushroom. You're a hummus. You look like a hummus. Yeah, that's what you look like. You look like an absolute hummus. That's what you are. You claim you left Islam, and I've watched your videos. Nowhere in those videos you're talking about your story of leaving Islam you ever mention Hamas. You hummus, that's what you are. You're a liar, you're a fraudster, you're an intellectual fraud, you're intellectually bankrupt, you are finished like Muhammad Hijab says, you are an absolute coward. You went on there, did not condemn Israel once, seeing the killing of innocent babies and children. You are a heartless coward, a sellout, an Uncle Tom. That's what you are. Shame on you. And that's all I have to say. There's nothing else I can say. And your story is an absolute fraud. And it shows that Israel is such on the back foot that GB News had no one to bring but an absolute coward of a hummus like you. Any last words, Zishan?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.